Miami Beach, and Snarky Puppy is hosting that festival. This is Folk and Acoustic Music. My name is Michael Stock. Hank Woji is in South Florida, and he's come by the studio. Hank, thanks so much for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
You drove all the way from Texas.
Yep, sure did.
Do you make it to South Florida often? Move a bit closer to.
Moving a little bit?
Yeah, move a little bit closer.
My sister lives in Fort Myers.
Oh, that's convenient.
So I've been, and my parents lived there for 30 years, so I practically lived on I-10, driving back and forth.
But you're not playing anywhere here.
No, I took a little time off. Did my last show in Fort Myers at the ACMA on December 2nd. And my next show coming up will be in Austin on March 6th. It's part of a Townes Van Zandt birthday show that's done every year. My buddy Butch Hancock hosts it. He's been doing it since Townes passed in 97, I guess.
You've got a lot to unravel there. So Florida and Texas, it seems to me when it comes to folk music, there's no two states prouder than their songs in Florida and Texas.
Yeah, that's true.
You get that feeling?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why is that?
I have no idea. It's just, I grew up in Jersey, so when I got to Texas 2001, I just fell in with a bunch of songwriters. I was not a songwriter. So I got to Texas, fell in with some songwriters, started writing songs.
Why did you go to Texas to begin with?
Actually, my music career had ended in 1995. I had a 20-year career as a bassist playing in all kinds of rock and roll, R&B, horn bands on the Jersey Shore. I graduated from the School of Rock and Roll in Asbury Park in 1980 with a guy named Sonny Ken was my professor. And after 20 years, that all ended. And I was working a corporate job in New York City. And I was asked to go to Houston for a few months and work. And I got there and fell in with a bunch of songwriters.
So when you say songwriters, you're talking about folk music.
Oh, yeah.
So that wasn't part of your world in New Jersey?
Yes and no. I mean, I always played, I played acoustic music. I had acoustic bands as well.
I see.
Played all kinds of music, but I was not a songwriter. That didn't happen until I moved to Houston.
And Hank, I just discovered you more or less because you have a new album out called Highways, Gamblers, Devils, and Dreams, filled with original songs and great covers. And congratulations on the release.
Thank you.
As your first one in many years, as you mentioned.
Yeah, it's the first record I've done in almost 10 years. The last one I did was back in 2014.
Well, welcome back to the, I don't know, what is it?
Land of the living.
And let's have a song.
All right, so I'll play. This one's on the record. I had re-recorded this one off of, this was on the last record I did in 2014, but I decided to freshen it up and bring it back out on this record. And this one is pretty much my life in about 3 minutes. It's the last 450,000 miles of my life. It's called Chasing My Headlights Again. Tires softly singing, long lonesome highway. I'll ramble back home, only God, He knows when. White lines to guide me, miles fall behind me, and I'm chasing my headlights again. A hot cup of coffee, truck stop near Denver. Peach pie reminds me of somewhere I've been. The waitress says, honey, you look kind of weary, and I'm chasing my headlights again. My sweet Tallahassee, you found your way deep in my soul. My sweet Tallahassee, was it more than my heart that you stole? sweet Tallahassee, you found your way deep in my soul. My sweet Tallahassee, was it more than my heart that you stole? A good gig in Memphis, Tip Jar was singing. Felt just like dancing on the head of a pin. A bartender told me that song really touched me, and I'm chasing my headlights again. White lines to guide me, miles fall behind me, and I'm chasing my headlights again. Chasing my headlights again.
Hank Woji, live in the WLRN studio. All right, well, what happened in Tallahassee?
It's a long song.
Well,
Leave it at that.
Listening to that song, I mean, the first time you're back recording now, but it doesn't sound like you're enjoying yourself. That's not a fun song.
That song was written many years ago.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
that song was written probably back around 2010, 2011. Made it on record in 2014, and now I kind of regurgitated it for the new record because it fit the whole Highways, Highways, Gamblers, Devil's Dreams. So got 23 songs that are kind of interwoven, and there's threads that go from one song into another. One poses a question, another one answers the question.
And it's a double album. It's a double CD.
23 tracks.
Why? What went behind that decision?
Well, I hadn't recorded in a long time, and then COVID hit. And I started drinking, watching television, and writing songs. And I wrote a whole bunch of songs. I went through the garbage pile. For any songwriters out there, you know what I'm talking about, the garbage pile. All the bits and pieces and body parts of songs that are lying around that get collected. And I went through and cobbled together a whole bunch of songs. There's, I think, 15 new original songs were on this record, and then 3 that I recovered and 5 covers. And so I wrote a whole bunch of songs and told a bunch of stories and put it all together. And
you done so doubles. I don't come across many double CDs, so you just couldn't.
The problem is usually what an artist will do is start out with 15 or 20 or 30 songs, and then you edit down. I went the wrong way. I started with 15 songs, and then I kept finding other songs, and I went, oh, this is perfect for this record. And I'm going in the wrong direction. But it just felt right to me, and I decided to just let it fly.
Okay.
I said, I'm not going to worry about it. When I got up to about 20 songs, I said, I have no choice. I can't look back. As a matter of fact, the first track is called Don't Look Back, and it's a song of redemption and second chances. But I decided to just go for it. So it's 23 tracks. Took me 2.5 years to record and get it done.
Hank Woji is in the studio. Highways, Gamblers, Devils, and Dreams is the name of the CD. How's the CD doing?
Well, it was released September 1st. It hit number 3 on the folk charts here in the U.S., hit number 5 in Europe on the Americana charts. It stayed in the top 15 in Europe for 4 straight months, and then it stayed in the top 40 here in the U.S. for 3 months.
Oh,
so
that's so encouraging.
It did all right.
That's
yeah,
great.
Did good. Hey, thanks to guys like you who played some tracks from it. I appreciate that.
Well, how much work did you do? Did you were out there pushing and touring and?
I learned how to delegate. So I hired 3 promoters to promote the record. One in Europe, my buddy Peter Homestead, is a great promoter in Europe. Jenny Finlay here in the U.S. and Carrie Estrin out of Nashville.
When did you decide that you need the help?
Early on.
Okay.
Early on. I had self-promoted some of my records before. Peter in Europe had worked with me on a couple records. But I'd met Carrie a few years ago, and Carrie turned out to be the real superstar. She did a great job on this record.
Did she tell you something you didn't want to hear?
Always.
She's like that. She challenges you.
She does. She really pushed me, and because of that, it's a better record. Although I was pretty much done with the record when we got together, but she's definitely pushed me, and she's involved. Oh, I should spill the beans, so I'm back in the studio again.
Oh, you're making a new record.
There's a new record coming out in July. As a matter of fact, I'll play one of the songs from it. It's a record that I was going to do before COVID hit. I was going to do a 20-year retrospective. I was going to cherry pick songs from my first 5 records and put out a kind of greatest hits that never were record. And
is this your most successful album to date?
Highways Gamblers?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Okay. Well,
absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah, it worked out. So I've been talking to Carrie, and she's involved in the new record already, and I'm going to be promoting it, getting it out in July. And I've added 4 new songs, not new, but songs that have never been recorded before. So it's going to be, right now I'm working on 19 songs. This time I will go the other way. This time it's not going to get bigger, it's going to get smaller.
What did Carrie say about putting out a double album?
That again is too long of a story, but obviously nobody was in favor of me doing a double record but me. But I get to make that decision.
Okay.
I'm the producer.
Okay. Well, let's have another song.
All right. So here's one from that record. This one, I really love this song. This is a song, it's a great story. I had all the music, the melody, everything. I had the chorus all worked out, but I didn't have the lyrics. I knew what the story was. I knew what it was about. I had my reference work. I was working on the song. I was so confident the song was going to be on this record that when I went in to start recording, I recorded all the basic tracks. I recorded the bass and drums, and then I recorded all the keyboard parts and everything else. I had that all done.
You had to do it yourself?
No, I traveled all over the country, recording at different studios.
Okay.
This record's got 36 different musicians. It was recorded in 16 different studios. So I'm traveling around the country. I'm doing this record, and I still don't have the lyrics for this song, but all the tracks are being recorded. So I realized I need some help. So I called up my friend, Susan Herndon, out of Norman, Oklahoma. Wonderful songwriter, writes great, uplifting, socially conscious songs. And I called her up and said, Susan, I'm stuck. I need your help, and you're the one that could help me. So she had moved outside of San Antonio. So I drove out, walked in the door, and right away, she snapped it into focus. And we worked for about 3 hours and got it close. And then I ended up driving down to her house on the Super Bowl Sunday 2 years ago, and we finished it. And this is a song for all of us. It's called Start Building Bridges.
Hank Woji.
Come here today to talk about family. We come here today to talk about home. Brothers and sisters, we're in this together. We're all seeking shelter from the same storm. Now some would divide us, false words and confusion. Some prey on our fears, try and lead us astray. But that's just illusion, for we are united. We're all seeking truth, let truth guide our way. Mother of exiles, torch held on high. light of hope for all to see. Give us your homeless, your tired and your poor, all those who yearn to be free. We got to start building bridges, start tearing down walls. It's time to start building bridges, start tearing down walls. We come here today to talk about forgiveness. We come here today to talk about love. Brothers and sisters, we must come together, lift up our hearts with a light from above. Sweet Lady Liberty, torch held on high, a golden light for all to see. We are your homeless, your tired and your poor. Here we learn what it means to be free. We got to start building bridges, start tearing down walls. It's time to start building bridges, start tearing down walls. We got to start building bridges, start tearing down walls. It's time to start building bridges, start tearing down walls.
Woji, live in the WLRN studio. That's a great song. I hear that song and I'm saying, why do we not tear down bridges, or building bridges and tearing down walls? Why don't we do that, Hank?
Fear. Fear.
Yeah.
It's all about fear.
Okay, there's another song.
It's another song.
So where you're heading from here? Are you on tour?
No. Kind of backed off that for a couple months. Did a really nice Southwest tour for a month. Did like 20 dates in 30 days out in Arizona, New Mexico, and the Big Bend. Nothing really planned right now. Next show I'm doing is going to be in Austin, Texas. I'm playing at the annual Townes Van Zandt birthday concert.
Did you ever meet Townes Van Zandt?
No, I didn't. Townes passed in '97. And I was stuck into the corporate world in New York City. My music career was over. I moved to, actually, it's a funny story. I actually landed in Houston, Texas on March 7th, 2001, which is Townes' birthday, is March 7th. And I didn't know that. So I always joke around with my buddy Butch Hancock that Townes did it. Townes sucked me into Texas and made me a songwriter because I arrived in Houston on March 7th. So every year, Butch has been hosting the show. It's been at the Cactus Cafe for over 20 years. Then they moved it to a performing arts center in Austin called the Long Center. And it's got a cavalcade of stars. I mean, great Texas songwriters are all going to be there. Butch Hancock, Jimmy Dale Gilmore, George Ensley, Jamie Harris, tons of others.
You're talking about, again, that Texas pride of the singer-songwriters.
Yeah.
Is that where what do they call it, the outlaw movement started? Willie and...
Yes, actually, when Willie Nelson pretty much got booted out of Nashville, and he went down to Austin and got Waylon Jennings to come down, and everybody started moving to Austin, and Austin kind of became the gravitational center.
Do you remember the first time you heard a Townes Van Zandt song?
Yes, but I don't remember the song. It was actually I was in school. I was attending college in 1970-71 in Indiana, and Townes played at our college. And to this day, I have no memory of anything he played, but I have a very distinct memory of him visually. I remember being on the end side of the stage, watching him on stage with the lights on him and his profile and his guitar, and I have this visual image of him. But the first songs I heard of Townes was when I moved to Texas. A friend of mine gave me a record of Townes with Steve Earle and Guy Clark at the Bluebird Cafe.
Giants of songwriting.
Right, and I wore that record out, and that really got me more into Townes and Guy and Steve Earle. And I had been listening for years to guys like Butch Hancock, Jimmy Gilmore, Joe Ely. I was a huge Joe Ely fan back in the 80s. When he'd come to Jersey and New York and Pennsylvania, we would follow him around. You know, we loved Joe, and through Joe, I learned about Butch's songwriting and his material.
Do you feel like you're part of that Texas songwriting crowd now?
I think so. I consider myself more of a Texas songwriter because that's, again, gravitational. That's what pulled me in, and a lot of the songs that I write come from that school, whether it's going to be somebody like Guy Clark or Townes or Butch Hancock, Jimmy Dale Gilmore, Joe Ely. A lot of my songs reflect that sensibility. So yeah, I consider myself a Texas songwriter.
Hank Woji's in the studio. His latest album, Highways, Gamblers, Devils and Dreams. Let's have one more song.
All right, here I spilled the beans. I'm back in the studio. I'm going to record a new record. It's going to be a 20-year retrospective on the first 5 records that I did from 2005 to 2014, and then a couple other songs that I had written along the way. And this is a song I wrote probably about 10 years ago. It's been part of my repertoire. And so the record's going to have some new songs that have never been recorded before that I've been playing for years, but this is one of them. And this is a kind of a West Texas blues. I saw a three-legged dog howl at a three-quarter moon, 3 in the morning on the 3rd day of June. Oh, I thought I heard a whistle, but there ain't no Tulsa train. So I just scratch my head and wonder about all these things I can't explain. Well, 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 2 make 4. Don't forget me, baby, like so many times before. I've been 40 years hard working, ain't found fortune or fame, no. So I just scratch my head and wonder about all these things I can't explain. Well, she said, roll me a 7, honey, 7 set me free. 7, 11, pass that bottle to me. She was a Seventh-day Adventist, but she never showed no shame, no. So I just scratch my head and wonder about all these things I can't explain. Money, 2 for the show. Too many people telling me where to go. Black clouds rolled in on Tuesday, but they're just too tired to rain. So I just scratch my head and wonder about all these things I can't explain. I saw a 3-legged dog howl at a 3/4 moon, 3 in the morning on the 3rd day of June. Oh, thought I heard a whistle, but there ain't no Tulsa train. So I just scratch my head and wonder about all these things. I just scratch my head and wonder. Too many things. I just scratch my head and wonder about all these things I can't explain.
Hank Woji, live in the WLRN studio. What's the best way to find out more about Hank Woji?
If they can spell my name, they can find my website. It's just hankwoji.com, HANKWOJI.com. It links up with everything. I got lots of records and stuff going on there. And
Hank's latest album is Highways, Gamblers, Devils, and Dreams. Hank, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for having me here.
This is Folk and Acoustic Music. My name is Michael Stock, here every Sunday on 91.3 WLRN and HD1 Miami Fort Lauderdale, 91.5 WKWM and HD1 Marathon Key West, 105.5 WOLL HD2 Hope Sound, 101.9 NPR for the Palm Beaches. We'll return after this message with new music from Jeff Talmadge.